Welcome to another edition of Our City. This is Mayor Bollwage, and I'd like to advise all of you that you can contact us on our social media sites to get any information about any upcoming events that are happening within our city, or you can simply call the Public Information Office at 908-820-4124. And for this week, we're beginning the show about Estuary Week here in the city of Elizabeth. Estuary Week begins, and I have some great people on the show. One is Carol Savona, who's the president of Future City. Carol, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You've been on before.
Yes.
I know, and you're good at this. And I also want to welcome Mr. Solomon Victor, who's the Supervisor of Science at the Elizabeth Board of Education. Solomon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Solomon is better known for his acting career, however, at the high school when he participates with the students in plays. If you haven't had the opportunity, you really have to check this guy out. He's got quite the sense of humor. Right, Solomon?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're good at this.
Thank you so much.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, because you haven't been on the show before. So we'll start with you.
Okay. I'm Solomon Victor, Science Supervisor for Elizabeth Public Schools. And I was introduced to Future City of Elizabeth since 2003. Ever since, I did not stop. I participated almost most of the programs that the Future City organized. And I've made my students also to participate in it. The last one was in the month of June, where a couple of my students won the third place in the national competition.
Has your whole career been spent at the Elizabeth schools?
No, I worked in India, I worked in Africa, and this is my third destination. I hope this is the until the end.
Well, we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Carol, tell us about yourself. You've been on the show before, and you're really good at this, working with Future City.
My name is Carol Savona, and I'm board president for Future City Incorporated. It's an environmental nonprofit right here in Elizabeth, and we are in our 26th year of advocating and educating students and residents about environmental concerns. I'm also a retired science teacher.
I was just saying, you're also in the Elizabeth system, right?
After over 37 years, I was a science teacher and coach with the Elizabeth Board of Ed. And I've had family ties with Elizabeth since I was small.
Knee high to a grasshopper, as they say, right? So, Carol, tell us about Estuary Week and how it's grown in the last 24 years.
Elizabeth is a perfect place to talk about Estuary Week because we are on an estuary, the Arthur Kill. And that's where fresh water meets salt water, and we call that brackish water. And it's a totally different ecosystem. The week began as Estuary Day many years ago, and it was a student educational day on environmental ideas and concerns. And it grew over the years to where we had extensive workshops by the Army Corps of Engineers, the Coast Guard, the New York, New Jersey Baykeeper. Many teachers participated, and it was a lot of fun. We did in-person workshops both inside and at the waterfront.
Right.
The COVID pandemic made us go virtual, and we reached students in 7th to 12th grades. And that's when it became Estuary Week, because we had to do it over several days. We continue the virtual workshops, and we encourage students to share their knowledge with their parents, which we hope they do.
And so, Solomon, you've been involved in Estuary Week as well, working with the students. Talk to us about the week and the remote workshop partners that you're doing in science class.
Yeah.
Tell us where you picked up from Carol, where she used to work in the system.
Students had the chance to see the videos that was posted during the week, about the city of water. And they also had the chance to see the weather app that was created and posted to the students. I was there when it was telecasted in one of the schools, watching along with the students. It was a wonderful thing to see. what the Future City is trying to help the students to understand about the global climate change and how the weather is important for them to check every single day when they are going to the school. So it was a wonderful feeling that I saw students were seriously taking this into their listening skills. I'm so happy.
The two of you, what do you think the students? Do they really? You hope some of them, I guess, kind of follow you into science. You think, or what's your goal? How do you measure success with some of these students?
Well,
It's hard.
it's hard, but
Yeah.
I think we've had kids who go into sciences. I know some of my ex-students have become adept in the sciences. We even had a weatherman in 6th grade.
We did.
Oh God, he was his name was Peter, and he was amazing. He knew so much about weather, and he could tell the weatherman on TV.
Do you know whatever happened to Peter?
No, I never know. I think he did become a meteorologist.
He did. Okay.
About
What do you think,
my career, like now, based on as a teacher, I've seen many of my students who have gone into college. I'm so happy that they are using science, especially STEM. Many of my students were in NJIT, and they use the STEM program, the background of the STEM knowledge, to get into this environmental issue. I always consider it should be STEM, but also add environment to it, STEEM. That will be a great way
STEAM.
to, yes, STEAM, not STEAM, because if it comes as A, it'll become arts, but I worried about environment. I always care about environment.
So, speaking of the environment, Carol, creating a culture of resilience, how does that apply locally within our city and the school district?
I think there's a definite need for climate change information. We all recognize that weather has been changing. And even young students can recognize that there's been flooding and storms and hurricanes and tornadoes that didn't happen as much before. And we want them to recognize these things, and that students and their families have actually a right to know about how to prepare and how to recognize what's happening, and how to be prepared for extreme weather, so they can accomplish that through education.
And Victor, Solomon, the students' input on climate change. Carol just said that even young students are recognizing that there's climate change. And how do you enforce, or how do you develop those skills through your workshops?
Okay, based on the conversation that I had with the students, I in addition to what Ms. Carol said, I strongly believe that students are understanding the concept of the global change, and they want to move forward. And also the State Department is looking for implementing the global change in the curriculums. And we have done the changes in the curriculum too. So if they take on the high school courses, one of the courses, AP Environmental course, which is a college credit course, so that'll be really useful. So what we are showing in the minds of the middle school, they can establish, and then they move forward, and then they take it to the careers that they are looking for in the future.
So, Solomon, you mentioned you taught in India. You're from India as your heritage. The climate change here I know about, but the climate change in India is severe as well. The recent floods there. Do the people in India understand climate change? Is there an effort like this in your native country as well, you think?
I left the country almost 20 years before. Those days it was not much talk, but nowadays I had the chance to visit India 2 months ago. It was humid and hot, and people did understand, all this is because of the smokes and the carbon monoxide, whatever gases that are being released by the companies and automobiles. So people are aware of the changes that are happening. It's because of human.
So it's happening worldwide. You're saying it's happening in India, that it's happening everywhere. And Carol, how do you share this information as a retired person now? How do you work with the students? Do they come to the Future City? How do you get your message across?
Oh, we have some visitors at Future City, and we do these educational workshops throughout the year. And it's interesting to see the kids get excited about it because it's personal to them. For instance, when there was flooding in Elizabeth, some of the kids lived in that neighborhood.
Right.
And they know, God, this actually happens, you know. It's not something we're watching on the news. So it's important to keep the kids up with everything that's happening. And they're able to understand
It clicks, right?
Yep, they're able to understand.
So Solomon, without mentioning any names, do you see any students here? Do you think will go into studying climate change or science?
Of course.
You do.
That's the whole point. Like, you know,
Right.
why we want to use this programs or implement these programs with the students.
So tell us about. We talked about the students a lot. Talk about the residents of our city who only see things on social media or the New York Times or the Star Ledger, Channel 2, 4, 5, and 7. I mean, tell us about how do you think. How can we get our message out to the residents? Who wants to go first?
I could go. I always believe this best saying in English: parents are the first teachers, and teachers are the second parents. Am I right? But nowadays things are changing. Kids are bringing information to the parents from the school,
Good point.
and you know, and parents would like to listen to the children based on the information that's happening in the class, you know, with their peers and programs like this. So I thank Future City of Elizabeth for bringing and exposing kids to Estuary Day, Earth Day, and many other projects. You know, that will be shared with the parents, and the parents are also seeing, you know, as a group called as after school community groups, like, you know, environmental club or science club. You know, they involve with the community, and they see the difference that are happening in the children. And, you know, in addition to watching the TV channels, as you mentioned, they also see things are happening in their own community. And, you know, that's one way that I see kids are bringing the information to the parents, and the parents help the kids more to participate in this type of program.
And Carol, you want to follow up on that? Basically, you talked about the kids saw the flooding 2 years ago here in Elizabeth, so they know that climate change is affecting them. Do they have these conversations with their parents? What do you think, Carol?
They know it actually happens. When students get really excited when the information they're getting is personal. You know, this can happen to me, or this can happen to my family. So they pass that on to their families, and sometimes concerned families pass it on to their neighbors, and they talk about it. We worked with City of Water Day this summer, and had a presentation at Kellogg Park, and people came and they learned about City of Water and about what could happen and about the environmental concerns that we have around this area, and I think we just have to keep doing this. You know, you have to keep doing it, even in block watch groups. You know, when they have their block watch groups, they can get out there and talk about this.
Carol, I want to thank you first for your 37 years of service to our Elizabeth Board of Education and your continued voluntary work with Elizabeth Future City. Thank you as serving as president, and thank you for working with the young people. And Solomon, your continued work. We're glad to have you from India and Africa to the city of Elizabeth with your scientific knowledge, teaching our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to join me today.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I want to thank Ms. Carol Savona and Mr. Solomon Victor for talking with us about climate change during Estuary Week here in the city of Elizabeth. Please stay with us after these messages, back with more about environmental issues here in our city. Welcome back to our city, where I'm pleased to be joined by Mr. Sebastian Prado from the Historical Society. Sebastian, you've been on the show before. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mayor, for having us.
And also Mr. Bruce Elfein, who is the Supervisor of Social Studies for the Elizabeth Board of Education. Bruce, thanks for coming back.
It's always good to see you, Mr. Mayor.
How many years are you now with the school board? You can't count them?
Too many, yes.
Yeah, love it every minute
Over
of it.
30.
Over 30.
Yes.
Good for you. And we talked earlier on this show about climate change Today, in the second part, we're going to talk about the Elizabeth Hispanic Forum. But Sebastian, you're also involved in Future City as well. So how do you budget all your time here, pal?
It's a mix of my passion that I'm doing mathematics in school, so Future City gives me a space to explore that. But also, since I'm Hispanic and I'm new to the city, I like to learn more. So the Historical Society gives me that space.
And where are you going to school now?
I'm in Rutgers University.
You are. What year?
I'm about to be a senior.
Senior. We met when you were, what, a freshman or a sophomore in high school,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, Bruce, tell us about yourself. I had 30 years with the school board. What else?
That takes up a lot of time. I do a variety of things in the district. Social studies nominally is my job, but I can be found at different school buildings, helping administer school buildings. So I spread my time around.
So tell us about Hispanic Forum and education and how you worked that into your historical studies.
Well, it's Hispanic History Month, and it's just part of the curriculum.
Do we make it part of the curriculum?
We do,
Yeah.
and it's something we try and emphasize every year. And the teachers do a great job with their students as a result.
And Sebastian, tell us the Elizabeth Hispanic Forum and the Historical Society. How is this conducted?
So since 2016, we've been hosting the Hispanic Heritage Month Forums in October with the support of the Union County HARA grant. Every year they have funded us. So what we do is we research a topic of the Hispanic community and we share it with the residents of the Union County, with the residents of Elizabeth, and also with the students in the local high schools.
Was Sebastian a student of yours, Bruce?
And no,
No.
he's too young.
Too young.
I'm too old.
You're too old. He's too young.
He's too young.
So, what's your favorite part of history? Is it American, Europe? Tell us. What's
I'm
your
an
favorite?
American history fan myself. Although I've studied a lot. I've studied world history, the history of different countries, but my focus has always been on American history.
American history. And Sebastian, researching the history of Elizabeth, how is that important to the Hispanics, especially young Hispanics in our city?
So as we know, a big part of the population of Elizabeth is Hispanic. And throughout the years, we have different groups of different countries coming to the city. So we want to record their what they have provided to the city, either in business or in culture, and it's important to us to have that in our record.
And what's the title of the forum this year?
So this year it's Hispanic Entrepreneurship and Opportunity. We wanted to record some businesses that Hispanics have opened in the city. So we had the opportunity to...
And you have panelists this year?
Yes. We had Jorge Castro from Premier Homes, and we have Joseph Gillis from MLB Residential Landing. And they shared with us, one, how they came to the country because they're immigrants from Latin America. They also share what path they took to open their businesses, the struggles that they had, and why other people in our community should open businesses.
So Bruce, the remote learning process and the content of it, how are we doing that?
Well, as you probably know, the Board of Education equips all of our students with a laptop, which is equipped with advanced virtual software, which allows our students to participate in virtual classrooms, virtual meetings, virtual assemblies. The forum is going to be virtually done. The students, as a result, with the software that they have, the laptops that they have, will be able to participate in the forum.
So in this forum, Bruce, will they get this during class time, during the day, or
Yes.
just like homework stuff at night?
Well, we try and give them some homework and some extra credit stuff, but a lot of it will take place in the classroom.
In the classroom. And you share with the teachers the content and the students, and how important is this for the students to know? I mean, how do you get this message across on the importance of Hispanic education?
Well, I have contact with all my teachers, obviously, and I'll tell them the importance of the forum, our association with the forum, and the importance to the students of the forum in their classroom
In the classroom
experience.
activities. And Sebastian, what specifically is involved in the preparation and the research? Did you do all the research of the forum, or did you have a team of people doing it? How did you put this together?
So, as I said before, since 2016, we've been hosting these forums. And we know that we want to focus on a part of the Hispanic community, but each year we look at the news, what's going on in our community, and we choose a specific topic that we want to discuss. Then we find panelists that want to share their knowledge and experiences with the residents. And then we host some calls, that way they are familiar with each other and they're familiar speaking with each other, and then we record the forum.
So this may be a silly question, but is it done in English or Spanish?
It's done in English,
Okay.
just to show that we are able to communicate in other languages.
So it's done in English?
Yeah.
And students in a second language, they can grasp this, Bruce?
Absolutely,
Yeah, they
yes.
do, okay. And so now in 2023, we have a countywide 4 Centuries weekend coming up. I get a kick out of this, and tell us about 4 Centuries weekend.
So 4 Centuries in a Weekend, it's an event hosted by the Union County, where historical places in the county open their doors to the residents. That way they can visit the places and see what history has occurred there. We take the opportunity that we have this event happening in our county to promote our Hispanic Forum. That way, not only the Hispanic residents in our city are able to see the forum, but also other members from other parts of the county get to learn.
So we have 3 buildings here in Elizabeth that are open, right? Is it the Bonnell House?
Bonnet House, Belcher the Mansion, and Boxwood Hall.
Boxwell Hall, all 3. You ever been through those buildings, Bruce?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, ain't it?
It's wonderful.
I just get a kick out of like George Washington had lunch in one of those buildings, 200 and some
Hamilton
idea.
visited as well.
Hamilton visit, yeah. So it's pretty cool. If you were to describe in 3 words your forum message and the pending weekend, what would you want the students to internalize? What do you want them to remember?
I will say opportunity, hard work, and life.
Life. Yeah. Bruce, how do you think the students? I asked Carol and Solomon before they left, as they're in science. I asked them a similar question I asked you. How do you get the students to internalize? What do you think they should remember about these forums?
They should remember that it's an important part of their lives. The history of this city is very important to them. Their upbringing. It helps build civic understanding, and civic understanding, in my opinion, helps build better citizens. So
I was always liked history. I get a fascinating
Absolutely.
thought. I mean, and then you see it repeat itself on occasion, right?
It always does.
It always does.
It always seems to, anyway.
It does. I want to thank the 2 of you for taking the time to join us on the show and talk about the forum, and wish you well. And Sebastian, from the first time you were on the show to now, you're getting really good at this stuff.
Thank you, Mayor.
And Bruce, once again, thank you for
Always a pleasure,
taking the
Mr.
time
Mayor.
out of your school work to come here. So
Thank you.
I want to thank Mr. Bruce Elfein and Mr. Sebastian Prado for joining me on Our City. We'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.